joining us. Today I have with me Monica Mcnutt, basketball analyst for ESPN, Fox Sports, MSG Network, dabbled with overtime a little bit, and Georgetown Bowler. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, love.
So basically on 6 Feet Apart, we're going to dive into the sports world without sports. So obviously you work in sports. You also have your own podcast. What was it like to go from 100% basketball, you were at the women's ACC tournament, to just nothing?
So it was actually crazy, Michelle. You mentioned at the ACC tournament. I think I left there on I can't remember now. Maybe it was a Sunday night. I just remember that week I had to go from ACC tournament, and I was going to, I think I was home for a day, pack my bags, and I was heading to New York because I had some stuff to do with MSG. The Big East tournament was in New York that same week. Then I would be leaving New York, and I was supposed to go to Cleveland for the MAC tournament. Tuesday night, we do a show. Cool. I remember vividly talking about Kenny Atkinson being let go by the Brooklyn Nets and this question of whether NBA players have too much power in this day and age. All right, boom. Wednesday, we're starting to hear that coronavirus is in the United States. In fact, I think that was it had been in Seattle for maybe 10 days at that point, 7 to 10 days. So Wednesday, post-game show with the Knicks and our MSG 150 show right after. Literally, as we're doing the post-game, the news is coming down that officials ran onto the floor with that sense of urgency in Oklahoma City and called the game between, I believe it was the Jazz and the Thunder.
Yeah.
The Warriors were supposed to play the Nets in an empty Chase Center. Okay, so boom. So all this stuff is trickling down. I think that was the same night that we heard Rudy Gobert tested positive. And I just remember it shifting dramatically from the time of the game starting for the Knicks and the time we got on air for the 150, which was an hour after the show, after we did our post game. And I just remember Michelle being like, this is real. Like, sports made this real, because sports is one of those things in our society that touches so many people, no matter their class, their race, orientation, all the differences that we have. Our sports teams, I got on my team logo today, our sports teams bring us together. And so that is something that we were all going to miss. And I remember it's hard for me to get upset about missing sports when we look at the magnitude and the loss that this virus is causing. Certainly, I would love to see it back, but I'd love to see normalcy return across the board.
When you were kind of going through all of this and living through it, you said you were in New York covering the games and everything. Did you really think that, like, they're gonna cancel March Madness? Like, did that thought go through your head before it happened?
It did not. It did not. And I remember we were in the green room and one of our producers was like, the Ivy League canceled their tournament. He's like, they're supposed to be the smart people. He was like, this is not going to stop here. And at the time, people were upset. I remember a couple of athletes out of the Ivy League really disappointed with the decision. And I just kind of was like, well, if that's what they feel like they have to do, like, that's what they have to do. But I did not see it happening. I think as quickly as it happened, Michelle, was the thing people back. I mean, by Wednesday night, Thursday morning, we wake up, the Big East cancels their tournament. I'm on the phone with CBS. They're like, do you still feel comfortable to do the game? And I'm like, yeah, because, we all got to go get out of here. At some point, for me personally, like, I was going to continue to work because this is my job. I get a call. I really appreciated them checking in on me. They call me back and they're like, hey, one of our other reporters is not comfortable. Would you mind also picking up the men's game? And I'm like, yeah, I can leave New York today and get there in time for the game Friday. Get a call 20 minutes later. Actually, it hasn't been announced yet, but the MAC is going to cancel their tournament as well.
Oh, God.
It was such, and I can look back at it now and sort of laugh. Although this issue is not funny, I think we have to find the smiles where we can. But just the quickness. I mean, literally, Michelle, like, I remember being in Bristol in the ACC Network studio, and one of our producers was like, oh, no, the virus is in Washington. And everything, proceeds as normal. And then all of a sudden, screeching halt. Like, nothing is proceeding as normal.
But you have your own podcast. What has it been like to create your own content while sports aren't going on? Your podcast is geared towards basketball, but there's no basketball. How has that changed your storytelling?
The first week, Michelle, I'll be honest, I did not want to do my podcast. But my producer, Bruce Bernstein of Pure Hoops Media, who is fantastic, he felt like this was an opportunity for us to encourage one another, find a release. And he kept posing this question about what lessons can we learn from being athletes that'll help us get through this pandemic. And I honestly felt like, I don't really want to talk about this, Bruce. Like, But once
Yeah.
we did, it was cathartic and it was a little bit of a relief. And so that first week was just Bruce and I. I think it's important, it's healthy for us to find these releases, whether it's reminiscing on games that we loved, or even it's a way for us to release, find something that puts a smile on our face. Because if you sit in front of the news right now, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, like it's kind of like you bring back the good sports moments and stuff, and you can still watch those buzzer beater games or something you've never seen before. People being healthy is way more important, but there'll be another March Madness. I mean, it's March Sadness right now, as everyone's saying, but I mean, it'll go on and everything. Have you found any like fun things to do while you've been in quarantine, or any like, I don't know, at-home projects? I'm always asking people how they're keeping busy during this. Like, I'm going a little stir crazy in the house. How are you keeping busy, Monica?
So I have a dog. She's not running around here right now. And so my mom is I'm pretty fit for the most part. My regular routine, one of my caps is actually
yes, girl, you are.
I get to the gym. Obviously, that's not an option right now. And so my mom and I have been actually walking. We're doing about 7 miles a day. We do a 4-mile walk and then a 3-mile walk.
Casual, 7 miles a day. Casual.
But it's just a walk, Michelle. It's just a walk. But I really enjoyed that time to connect and talk with my mom, and also kind of helping her find some consistency in this as well, especially taking her fitness commitment up a notch. I really enjoyed my dog. But you know what, Michelle? It's been interesting for me because the first week was sort of like an unscheduled vacation for me, right? I honestly, you mentioned all my different jobs and titles. I was kind of tired. Like, I've been running around. It was the thick of basketball season. I had found a second win because it was postseason, but I was kind of like, oh wow, I have nothing. Like, I'm gonna sleep. Week 2 was still kind of like, oh, okay, and I think for me, week 3 was really when I started to process a little differently and even acknowledge some emotions and stuff in myself. I'm not going to say that I was depressed or have been depressed by all this, but I do think such a stark contrast and what you and I consider to be normal and regular takes a toll on you. And I think it's okay to take a step back and acknowledge that, like, I'm feeling a little uncertain about all this, or I'm feeling sad to a degree. Like, we're sort of mourning what was normal. So it's been interesting. Part of me is like, yeah, gung ho, like productive team Twitter. Like, and then the other part of me is like, no, team acknowledge mental health is absolutely right. Like, I just want to go to sleep. Like, so there's finding this balance. But I mean, as you know, being in the sports industry yourself, like a bunch of my different spots, we're doing Zoom television now. And so that's fun. It's good to see one another and connect. My mom actually planned a family game night on Friday night. We did over Zoom, which was actually a ton of fun.
Oh, that's fun. And honestly, like, at least for me, I don't know for you, but do you think you've reached out maybe to more people you haven't been able to talk to, like living such a busy schedule, like having so much downtime?
Definitely. A friend of mine who actually is a trainer at Tone House, Judine Gerard, she actually posted, she's like, what are you guys going to miss when this is over? And I know that's a weird way to think about it. Like, we all want to get back to spring and summer brunch, and like, we certainly miss March Madness. But I will say that one of the silver linings for me, and I read this great book called Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday, is the opportunity to be still and genuinely say to somebody, how are you? And listen and receive their answer. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've had some really great conversations. I certainly am enjoying getting my 8 hours of sleep. Do I want things to return? Well, yes, but I also want to take advantage of this time, whether that is creating a new skill or being productive in a tangible way, or if it's just being mindful and getting to know myself, taking some time to journal, or even rest up if I feel like I need it, or just kind of navigate the emotions that come with this.
So I'm going to ask you anyways, what are you looking forward to after quarantine? Do you have like a bucket list?
Listen, easy, quick 5. I got to get back to the gym because I'm trying to be fit and creative. I honestly probably have not been as diligent as some other folks out here doing their workouts on social. I miss picking up heavy weights, like lifting at the gym. I'm definitely getting back on a plane and traveling. I miss being on the go. Like, for me, that's such a part of my life. Definitely getting back to sporting events for sure. As soon as we can.
Whatever it is, whatever.
We're gonna go watch cricket. Let's do it. I'm down. Going out to dinner, I think, and quality time with friends. Like, I miss that so much. Like, literally, I made a bunch of brownies to give to my friends. It's my grandmother's recipe, and my homegirl came by to pick it up, and we literally are like standing 6 feet away from one another. Like, I was like, I really want to hug you, but like,
I know.
So I definitely miss hugs, quality time. I mean, I'll be excited to get back to normal. And I know there are probably parts of this that are going to be a part of our culture and society moving forward. I hope that, you know, we can be back to packed stadiums, packed arenas, hugging people that we love near and dear. And I think in time
Well, you just went 6 feet apart.
I'm perfect. I'm within social distancing. We're safe.
We are safe. We're a little bit farther.